So today I'm here with Chevis Anderson. Chevis Anderson is a graduate of Delaware State University. So just a little bit about Chevis. He grew up in the Philadelphia public school system. He was active in the high school jazz and concert band at Overbrook High School. And after high school, he attended Delaware State University, and he was in the Approaching Storm marching band. He has a degree in business, music business, and a minor in broadcast journalism. And now he currently lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he teaches music and owns a media entertainment company. So, how are you doing, Chevis?
I'm doing wonderful, Dr. Christy Walker. How are you?
I'm good. So to those listening, Chevis and I, we go way back as well, 20 plus years or so, right?
Yeah, just be 21 since, my crab year was 2000. So, yeah. And I came right after that. So the whole journey.
Great. So I wanted to make sure that, you were represented in this book, and Delaware State University is represented. So I'm glad that you were able to contribute to the book. So, I talked about your bio a little bit. Can you just tell me, fill in the gaps a little bit, fill in the gaps of some of the things that I didn't mention. Just tell us about yourself.
Well, in a case, my childhood and upbringings mirrors a lot of, I would say, our Army brats, how we traveled, and we have parents who sometimes are abroad, which makes it sometimes difficult to cultivate and get good friendships as that happens. So when my mom finally got to a point of saying, hey, Philadelphia is where it's at, that's where, the city raised me. And then I've actually was able to use what I've learned in the city of Philadelphia and apply it in this great city of Delaware, and Dover, which was the where I went to school. In Delaware, I was able to do a lot. I mean, that university has broadened my my vision to be held within politics. If I've ran for mayor, I've ran for school board, I ran for city council twice for the city of Dover. Sat on plenty of council and different cabinet things dealing with the arts in this great city of Dover, Delaware. So that was a great footing for me. To where I am currently now, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I teach in the CMS public school system.
Okay, great. So while you were at Delaware State, you marched for them, and you played tenor sax, right?
I absolutely did. Actually, when I first got there, they put me on alto sax, and like you said, Delaware State alto saxes did not march with neck straps, which means it made it a little more of a difficult situation, and I found an opening over in the tenor sax section. So I quickly raised my hand and said, y'all still march with neck straps? I'm going over there. So I actually was able to switch to tenor sax for my first 2 years, and then I became section leader, and then I switched over to baritone horn, and that's where I finished up in my career in college.
Okay, good. So, you talked about you were raised in Philly. And so was an HBCU your first choice? And if so, why?
It was my first choice, but not my only choice. Of course, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania has great colleges and universities such as Drexel University, University of Pennsylvania, and Temple. But my sister went to Cheney, and I knew from that time I stepped on the campus, I said I had to go to a HBCU. Now, was it Cheney? No, it was Delaware State University, because it was that campus of doing the campus tour that I was actually open to seeing agriculture, because that's one of the few agricultural schools in this state. I know A&T is another one that's within the MEAC. And then I saw a lot more faces that looked like mine. So I said, there's no way I could go anywhere else but HBCU. And then once I saw the different backgrounds that Delaware State had, that's where I had to be.
Right. Okay, so that's good. So let's talk about Delaware State's band. Can you kind of sum up what your experience was in the band?
My experience, I want to say, was a multifaceted jumble of joy. And I say this because within my tenure there, we've had a few different band directors, but the main consistent one was Randolph J. Johnson. And I learned the most from him. I was able to garner some from other band directors that came in, and each one that came left something so powerful behind that it became, you know, a legacy with myself. So Al Davis, Randolph J. Johnson, Randolph J. Johnson, Al Davis, then it was H. Johnson, who was there for a moment. And then we have our current band director, then we had Randolph that actually came back, you know, my final year of marching, which was a complete circle for my career. So that was like one of the highlights, to be able to start with a band director and still finish with that same band director, even though in between, there was a lot of lessons and things being learned.
Right, right. Okay, so that's why I'm so excited about this book, is because, you know, everybody here is bringing different experiences. And so, like, the fact that you've marched under several band directors in your time at Delaware State, that's a unique angle, I think.
Oh, I mean, it gave me a peek into other, you know, universities' programs without actually having to step foot on their campuses. So if, you know, you always hear a story from another university, and it's great to hear that same story from the director's mouth. So it adds a little bit of authenticity with it as well.
Okay, okay. So Delaware State, I'll say in the past few years or so, has been a traditionally smaller sized band, and so, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how was that? Because, you know, people tend to think like with HBCU bands, they're these huge 200 person plus programs, and it wasn't like that at Delaware State.
Not at all. When I first got there, we were also known, you know, we were one of the bands known with this small band from the small town, because they, you know, we're a small state. You know, the first state is one of the smaller states, which is Delaware. Size and numbers have always been a tagging point to Delaware State University's band program approaching Storm. And what I can say is that we grew our largest, which was in our 2006 year, which was when we had Miguel Bonds was there for a brief period of time. Mm-hmm. And that was when the band grew. That was the largest. We had some of the greatest sound that came out of the band that particular year, but not to mention the momentum building up to that point in time too. So basically 2005, 2006, and 2007 was one of the years that Delaware State really had its pinnacle point from my perspective. Before I got there, definitely had some numbers back in the 90s as well.
Okay, okay. So while you were in the band, I know that you became a member. You were a charter member of your chapter, or was it a recharter of Kappa Psi? And tell me about that process.
Yes, rechartering member of the Eta Psi chapter of Delaware State University of Kappa Psi. It was a great journey. It took us a while for a recharting process, because there are a lot of things that have to be reinstated. When it comes to the campus, you know, being accepting of the fraternity and a sorority, which you brought back as well as making sure that we don't falter into those same mistakes or things that did not work well with the time was there the first time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
we banded together and we got it done.
Okay, good. And so let's talk about, you know, the effect that HBCU bands have. So, you know, we know that the band is obviously a big part of HBCUs. Why do you think that the band is so instrumental to the overall HBCU experience?
I honestly believe, I can't even say believe, I honestly know that the band is a passport to literally everything that is HBCU culture. And I say that because there's no other institution or program on campus that's going to be large enough to be able to travel to other HBCUs, travel and have that fellowship with other schools, and have that connection from all around the world. So me marching in band and we have an away game, guess what? That band's going to that school, and that band has the same exact experience, or if not sometimes of those mentalities that's going to get right with the other band. So automatically we're ready. We're ready for that, what you call that, rivalry, as well as that camaraderie. And that's the only place I can think on the planet where you can be mad at somebody on Saturday, but be their best friend on Sunday. So this is why I love marching band.
Okay, good. So let's talk about some of the battles that you remember through your time in the band. Like who do you consider your rival? Like what were some of the battles that you faced throughout your time?
Some of the battles that I faced, it's been so many. I mean, as my career, we've marched against Southern University, we've marched against FAMU. Um, Everybody can tell you, and the clips still prove it, 2006, Delaware State University versus FAMU in Detroit was one of those big events that we actually took something to FAMU, and that was unheard of, especially from, such a small band and such a large band.
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest rival, I would say, personally, I would say Morgan State University. I love them to death as well as I hate them, as with life. And mainly because they like to showboat. And when I mean by showboat, there was a year, and I'm sure Dr. Brigitte Bell will mention this if she hasn't already. If you did talk to her, it's about the time that they actually tried to perform in our mall area, and our band was not having that, and we literally were, as she likes to say, we chased them out. And yes, we did. We made sure that we came up and marched right behind, and we let them know that this is our house, you got to go. And that was what it was. That next Sunday, best friends, but that day Morgan had to go.
Okay. That's funny because, Bridget's in the book as well. So, I'm not personally interviewing her for this, but, she's been getting her rounds of interviews as well. So we'll see what she has to say about that. Yeah. So let's talk about you know what? This is what I'd like for you to do. If you can, sure. Without telling too much, can you talk about your contribution to the book and what kind of things you spoke about?
Oh, well, the juicy part is that I can drop without giving too much away is there's over 30 names. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I want to say there's about a good 25 names that have been dropped in my chapter. Okay. Absolutely. I will say there are some great stories of pain in that opening, page of my chapter. And without giving too much away, there is a big this I can share. This is public knowledge as well. Okay. I do talk about how I was first introduced to the fifthquarter.com. So this I can talk about, like I said, it is in a book, but this was something that is, like I said, very public knowledge. Everybody doesn't know that knows me knows that Fifth Quarter, Today I Die, no matter what. And this was, like I said, the only platform that I felt at home. You gave me, or you gave me a platform to express, the news, about bands. So I was able to really express that in the book. I was happy about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So what is your involvement with the band now? Like, are you, I know that, well, I mean, I just see on your social media and other folks that march for Delaware State, y'all have like this alumni group and y'all talk about stuff in the alumni group. I think pretty much every band probably has that, but talk about your involvement with the band now.
My involvement with the band now is more virtual and more low distance. One is because I do live in Charlotte now versus being in Dover, where I could be more hands-on. So I have taken a more of a step back role of call me when you need me, call me when Montero situation. So I'm there when you need me, just say my name. But there's never been a time or opportunity where they've needed my help that I would not have shown up. Right now, we are in the process of an interim band director, and we're hoping that either he becomes our permanent one. If they choose to rehire or do somebody else within that, of course, we're always going to support our alumnus that are currently there, Mr. Jovan.
Right. I just started getting contact with your current director. Why is his name? Why am I misplacing his name? I really don't be mad at me. But we just got in contact with each other via social media, and I'm hoping to maybe have him on the podcast too. So we'll see. We'll see when we start up season 3, because I'm just, Delaware State is, y'all have been through a lot of changes, and I would just I want y'all to win. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, we all want us to win, but sometimes it's the I guess if you don't have the full tradition behind it and you're still trying to build or cultivate, on different layers of what's been there, then it does get a little difficult when other programs are doing so much more, and then we're still producing, but it's not on a mainstream of platforms. I mean, I think one of the biggest things a lot of people missed out on was the 2021 inauguration, being that the president is from Delaware, and the president of Delaware State University actually was, did a lot of the programming and hosting of it, and we did not have a single performance, from our university band program. And due to, it's being in a rebuilding stage, I couldn't understand that, but I just wish that, something could have been done more, reached out more to at least been represented virtually in that setting, even if, this summer.
Right. So as far as the book goes, what would you like for people to get out of it?
I want people to understand that most programs will give you what you put into it. And I put a lot into Delaware State University, and I definitely got a lot out of it. From the friendships, from the cultivating love that I have for music, down to the people I've met and places I've traveled to. I don't think my college career would have been as exciting not being part of that university band program. And I just want to say that my experiences, I hope, mirrored a lot of others, where you may have some ups, some downs, and some in-betweens. And I'm pretty sure that once you read my chapter, you can see that you can relate a lot more to the small band with the big sound.
Okay. Now hold on. Smaller band with the big sound. That was A&T back in my day.
I said that for a reason, because I wanted to say, I mean, Louis, you hit it right there. Small band with a big sound was something that was used for a lot of different programs, but it was basically known for North Carolina A&T, especially back in the 2002 and 2003 era, when I was first I want to say, exposed to A&T. And reason for that is because that DVD came out, and I don't know what else I ran more in my dorm room was that it had the machine on the DVD, and it's like the can't think of this song. What is the song? Dun, da, 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 da.
Smash something.
Yeah. Middle finger you. There we go.
We're not gonna talk about A&T. This is about you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. See, you did this. You did that. I'm sorry. Edit out. I'm sorry. You did that.
Don't give me a hard time, Chevis. Don't give me a hard time.
I'm sorry. But we all know that Delaware State's, number one song that we always look forward to is 2001 Fanfare. That's what we're always known for. So that fanfare, I'd say every school is known for something, and 2001 was always Delaware State University's staple. So I will say that.
Okay, good. So let's talk about you and what you're doing now. What have you been up to? I have an idea, but I'll let you say it.
Oh, well, right now, you're on the panini. But outside of that, just been teaching, and I've been working on my other business, which is getting back to the both sides of the 50, which is my media portion. Still waiting for the world to open up back up so I can get those interviews with those band programs and band directors. My last thing I was planning to do was my interview with Mr. Hamer, which is the former band director of Southern University. And he did verbally agree to do that interview back with me. And I haven't seen him or interviewed him since Queen City Band Alumni Band. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to that coming back, hopefully.
Right. I'm not sure. I'm wishful thinking because I love that Queen City Band Alumni Bands. But I remember, during a couple of those Queen Cities, like you were on the field like a correspondent, right?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was. I was the the official fifth quarter correspondent. I was running back and forth, getting anything and everything that I could. So if you saw me with my microphone in hand and my camera every single time, and I was literally on that sideline to talk to those band directors before they went on the field, after they got off the field, and trying to get a little insight on what the audience was expected to feel. So I feel so connected when I have my microphone in my hands. So I definitely can't wait to get back to it. So this fall, once the world opens back up, expect to see me at least at 4 or 5 different games this year.
And I mean, yeah, you did well before the world was shut down. You did do a lot of traveling, and I would always bump into you in different places.
Yes, the last thing which was the Houston Battle of the Bands, which literally was right before the world shut down, was the last one of those last big Battle of the Bands, which was the National Battle of the Bands, which is formerly the Queen City Battle of the Bands. So I was able to catch up with them just in Houston.
Okay. So, you know what? We've been doing all this talk about the book, and I haven't given it a shout out. So, the HBCU Experience HBCU Band Alumni Edition comes out this Tuesday, April 27th. You can find the book on Amazon, and I'm just so excited about it because I love all of the stories. I was telling somebody else that, I got the copy of, well, not the actual copy, but I got the edits and stuff. And reading through everybody's stuff, it was so hard not to get caught up. I cannot wait until you hold that book in your hand and read it. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And you're going to learn you're going to learn some stories too. So I'm excited for you to hold on to it.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm hoping that it'll be in everyone's home by the end of the month.
Yes.
If not, it should be hopefully be on the way to their, homes in their hands. And 2 or 3 copies is the standard, is what we're telling everybody to make sure they try to get. Because you're going to want one for your friends and one for yourself, because you're not going to want to let anybody else hold your copy. So please make sure that you do get a copy or 3 to make sure, sprinkle 3, just make sure that you have your copy.
So what, let's see. So we talked about what you're doing now and all that good stuff. How can people get in touch with you, and how can they find you?
Anybody can find me on my Instagram, which is Milrose Place, MILROSPLACE, as well as on Facebook, which is Milrose Place, which is my business side, and then my personal is always Roman Chavez. But Milrose Place at Instagram is the best place to catch up with all the great things happening with me and Milrow Entertainment.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will go ahead and sign off there, but I really appreciate talking to you, and I'm ready for Tuesday.
I know you are. I know you're just getting right into all these interviews. It's just wonderful. I just can't wait myself. It's exciting.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You have listened to the HBCU Band Experience with Christy Walker. Interviews and editing conducted by yours truly, Dr. Christy Walker. The music is District 4 by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find this podcast on HBCUbandexperience.podbean.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Take care.